Greetings, this is J.R. Dickey. Thanks for tuning in to our podcast. And by the way, don't forget our website, graceandtruth.net. I hope you're having a great day, but if not, hang with me. It's about to get better. Okay, today's lesson is for all you spiritual foodies. So let's get started. In John chapter 6, it says, "Then Jesus said to them, 'Most assuredly I say to you, Moses did not give you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For this bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world.' And they said to him, 'Lord, give us this bread always.' And Jesus said to them, 'I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst.'" Well, that's John 6:32 through 35. Bread and water. Jesus showed himself to be the source of both spiritually. To one group, who were the Jews, he offered the bread of life. But they were so preoccupied with the flesh or the carnal that his "eat my flesh and drink my blood" lesson freaked them out. Even his carnally minded disciples deserted him. When they thought it meant free food, they said, "Lord, give us this bread always." But in reality, they couldn't digest the truth. To the second group, who were the Samaritans, he offered living water. He started with a woman drawing water at the town's well. In John 4, it records, "Jesus answered and said to her, 'Whoever drinks of this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water, springing up into everlasting life.' The woman said to him, 'Sir, give me this water, that I may not thirst, nor come here to draw.'" John 4:13 through 15. Now, this woman by the well was, let's say, a little loose in her marital commitments, as she had had 5 husbands, and the one she was currently with wasn't her husband. Surprisingly, she had an openness to this truth and perceived that Jesus had divine understanding. She herself brought up the topic of Messiah, and Jesus told her that he was him. She was so excited, she went to tell the people in the town about him and just left her water bucket, there at the well. She said, "Come, see a man who told me all things that I ever did. Could this be the Christ?" That's John 4:29. The result was that the whole town came to believe. With Jesus, they drank in the truth for 2 days and rejoiced in it. Bread and water, or more accurately, the bread of life and living water, John's Gospel, which is where these 2 stories are found, was written, according to John, so, quote, "that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that in believing you may have life in his name." That's John 20, verse 31. Now, this is important because believing is indeed taking in. It's the eating of the bread and the drinking of the water. The carnally minded didn't understand that. Jews therefore quarreled among themselves, saying, "How can this man give us his flesh to eat?" John 6:52. So what the Holy Spirit is teaching us in this is that it is critical to take in Jesus, to take him into our souls, our inner man. It's a spiritual lesson. That is to become one with him, so that you don't just follow him and try to be like him. Living is when you actually submit your whole self to him.
He told us in John 6:56, "He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me, and I in him." And in John 14:20, he said, "At that day you will know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you." That's taking in, isn't it? That does not mean you try harder. On the contrary, it means you trust him absolutely. I'll finish with this verse, John 6:47 and 48. "Most assuredly, I say to you, he who believes in me," that is, takes me in, "has everlasting life. I am the bread of life." Selah, that means think about it.
Now may the Lord grant you peace in the midst of any storm and faith to trust him. Look for our next podcast, and may you realize more of his grace today.